Hey everyone, this is Emanuel, Chief Healing Officer of InsideOut Institute. I'm so grateful today because every week we try to kind of like celebrate someone who is what they call overcomer of the week. And really the reality is during these COVID times, during downsizing and people being sick and political just debauchery happening everywhere. There's so much stress out there, but I like to recognize and can see the silver lining in it. And really there's a lot of people that are overcoming that they refuse to kind of let society melt them down. They want to like create an influence and be positive. And there's someone here who is part of is an energy healer in InsideOut Institute. Her and I kind of go way back. We've known each other for almost like 2 years. Her name is Michelle Thomassen, and I'm just excited to do a really quick interview. I just want to kind of see, let's hear about her background, what she's been doing, and how she's been participating in one of the fastest growing movements. And I really believe it's almost like transformational coaching 2.0. And for those of you who are not really familiar with Inside Out, I'll just tell you a really quick, brief description, and then let's interview this wonderful person here. But basically, Inside Out Institute is an organization where transformational coaches and energy healers can work together and basically go through a graduation process where then at the end they partner together and then start building a team of clients together. And we help them with marketing, with creating books, with their Instagram, just everything that really sometimes the energy healer or transformational coach doesn't know how to go through. That doesn't mean that they don't have a powerful message. And so, Michelle, thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate your time. And maybe we can start off by, what's your background? Like, where did you come before Inside Out Institute?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I was a nurse. I was a licensed practical nurse for, I don't know, I say 100 years sometimes because that's what it felt like. Probably close to 20, but really had been in healthcare since 1996. Liked doing that, but it always felt like a world I was trying to shoehorn myself into, but my personality maybe didn't necessarily fit. Not having a neurotypical brain, we'll say, it just made it a difficult fit, but loved that it was a way I could help take care of my family. And then 2012 we got into being foster parents, and we adopted this little boy, and about when he was 2 years old was when things really got interesting. Reed all broke loose, and we didn't know what we were doing, and so it was about 2017 where I found you and discovered energy healing, and because nobody was offering us any help. There wasn't hope. They threw pills at us, they threw a ton of blame at us, but nobody was offering us any help. And through the emotion in the body code was the first time it was like, hey, some of this stuff is working. Hey, he's not destroying the window blinds anymore. Hey, we don't care what it is. let's do more of this, and as I was working with you, I started copying what you were doing and working on a friend of mine, and I'm like, hey, I can do this. I said, what's this certification thing, Emanuel? I need to do this. And you were all about it. You were like, you need to get this self-development book and this self-development book and do this, Michelle. And we've got to get you working from home. And I never said this to you out loud, but I'm thinking, I love you, Emanuel, but I'm a drone.
Get away from me.
Huh?
Get away from me.
No, but it was, I wanted to believe it, but I was like, dude, do you even understand what I do? LPNs don't work from home. I'm an office drone. So I don't know what you think it is that I do over here. But you were trying to get me to see, just some of these books try to get me to read. They're above my head over there. So it was, 2019. I'd had a couple jobs that didn't go that well. And so I was at this kind of newer job. I wasn't really happy, but it was probably the best setup I'd had in years, so I was like, okay, but my heart was not in nursing anymore. Really hadn't probably been since 2012, at least. And some of it was the issues with our son and how that had worn us down. Some of it was people weren't getting better. And I saw that the system was not designed to get people better. And that became frustrating. It's like people would say, would you take this medicine? Because the doctor prescribed some medicine, and I'm thinking, I know what I want to tell them. I know what I have to tell them. you know, that kind of thing. And so COVID happened, and you know, it started. It was a little slow to shut things down here in the Midwest, so I was still working. And you said you need to call this guy, Todd Cahill. I was like, never heard of him. And but Emanuel doesn't give up. If you don't know Emanuel, so he's like, no, you really need to call him. You know, I think he could, you know, help you out. I think he, you know. So I'm like, okay, you know, because Emanuel said it and I did it. He has this amazing ability to just to get me to do things. And so I said, okay. So I called him, and as I'm talking to him, I'm like, well, I can't afford it, you know. And he keeps talking to me, and he must have seen something, because he said, we got to find a way to get you in. And I still don't know how I afforded it, except that I did. And started to, and even then it was a coaching program. It became the Institute kind of a few months in. And I'm like, wait a minute. You mean I don't have to go back to work? You mean I can actually use my gift? I like this. Let's see where this leads.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened, and thank you for sharing that. You know, and the reality is Michelle was kind of in the beginning where, you know, I was an energy healer. I've been doing it for 6 years, and you know, I was sending people to Todd because I feel like at the end of the day, it's almost like I use the analogy of like me going to a homeless person and just, you know, giving him a ton of wealth sessions, you know, like to increase his wealth. But then if you said, okay, now go, like he'd be like, what do I do? How do I talk? Like, there's only a certain extent where his body is ready to attract that wealth, but his conscious brain doesn't have the language or the direction or the calendar or the coaching, like just doesn't have that. That's why I was just like, you know, there's some amazing entrepreneur clients I have that just, if they just got some direction in their life plus the healing, everything would be different for them. So that's why I recommended them to Todd. And you came in where it was just me referring people to Todd. Inside Out Institute wasn't even born. And then we finally made it official. We said we're gonna make an institute where we can like help people to actually pivot and create a career. So tell me, like, you know, what is Inside Out Institute like? Why did you choose specifically Inside Out Institute? Because you could have gone. There's so many certification programs out there. There's so many you know, places where you can be a part of some sort of coaching program. Why for you were you like Inside Out Institute? And also, why did you really become a practitioner? Like, what did it mean to you?
With joining Inside Out, you know, I had been involved. I had been involved in network marketing before. This isn't network marketing, but I had been involved in network marketing, and so there's lots of personal development in that world, and it's good, but to a certain extent, it's like surface, and energy healing can get in and deal with things at the core, but my schedule was still a mess. A lot of relationships, my goals. I mean, my first couple of conversations with Todd, bless that man and his patience, but he's like all goal driven and this and that and the other. And I'm like, goals? I, you know, haven't had the space or the courage to dream for a couple of years, to be real honest with you, sir, you know, having those kind of conversations. And I loved that it addresses both, where not maybe the weakness, but maybe incompleteness. And if you can do this really good thing and this really good thing and put them together, well, then we're unstoppable. And I could see that idea made so much sense. And I'm like, what? This will work and nobody's doing it? Yeah, I mean, let's go, right? And I could see it as a way to really address things that had not changed, even in my own life. And when it came to why I became a practitioner, I could see, again, I told you, you know, special needs world, adoption, trauma. There's very little help being offered. There's almost none. I mean, they'll throw some pills at you. They'll throw some counseling at you. It's getting better, but, you know, there's so little hope, and the hopelessness and the fear that these families live with on a daily basis.
You've lived it.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I have absolutely lived it.
It's a whole nother thing, because you've been through that tunnel and there's very little light there. And I think you found a lot of hope in a very advanced modality that really no one knows about, right?
Not near enough. I was talking to somebody this morning. One of my clients referred to somebody else, and they're like, "You can help with PTSD?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I can help with PTSD." I had this private client here recently, and he's just, and this is why. I said, why am I an energy healer? This story right here. This very large guy, looks scary, covered in tattoos, ex-Marine, but gentle giant. You know, sitting in my office, and he's like crying at the end of the first session saying, "Will I ever be whole again?" There are a couple times recently, especially when this work, where I'm convinced that God is working and I'm just allowed to be in the room and watch it. And that was one of them. And I knew he wanted a real answer. And so I just thought about it for a minute. I'm like, don't cry. I looked at him. I said, absolutely, you can. I said, it'll take some time. We got some work to do. We got to remove your heart wall. But yes. You know, and who can, the people he sees at the VA, bless them for trying to help. They don't tell him that. You know, his wife's like, wow, 2 days after his second session, he was completely different. And I'm like, yeah, keep sending him back.
That's amazing. That gives me chills just thinking about that. Just really what we are is like we're looking for like the real solution that people are looking for that we've been band-aiding for so long. I just recently did an interview with someone, and I keep telling people that it's just like the thing that is very concerning is I think the reason why people are more open to energy healing now is because I feel like we've seen the baby boomers suffer. You know, and I feel like, you know, our grandparents who, you know, we're doing, you know, they're like, oh, we're just going to take this pill or I'm just going to take out an organ. Like, you know, it's like, that's normal. Like, you know, it's like, I guess God messed up and put an organ there where it shouldn't be there, you know, and because people are removing organs or taking these pills, later on, the body's like, I'm suffering now. I needed that organ, or these pills are now affecting my liver and my kidneys. And now I have chronic fatigue that I didn't have before. So it's this merry-go-round of like symptoms that they start dealing with that they didn't expect they would deal with it a year later or 2 years later because someone said, just use this for now because it'll be a Band-Aid. And I think you and I, we're just sick of Band-Aids. We really want to know, like, let's get to the root cause and let's figure out what's really going on so there's long-term success. And here's my last question I want to have for you is you know, what do you feel like? I mean, Inside Out has so many aspects to it. I mean, we have like our Wednesday call. Since you're a graduate, there's the Monday call. You get 2 calls a week. You get one powerful IOI experience event once a month. I mean, and then you get these videos, the illumination videos, like Todd and myself did together. I mean, you're like basically bombarded with information to help you grow as a person. What's one thing that you could say, like, you know what? Inside Out, I learned this, you know, thing from Todd's You versus You program, and maybe I did some energy healing on that. What is it? What's one thing that you kind of like overcame in your struggles? 'Cause everyone struggles in IOI in some aspect of their life. Where is it where you overcame something? You're like, I could definitely dedicate this to IOI, the fact that I've overcome that.
Oh, for sure. So many things, but we'll borrow a phrase from Todd's book. We'll borrow one of the You versus You battles. Yeah, great. And I would say you versus your relationships. Because we were at a point where, you know, next year will be our 25th wedding anniversary. Couldn't say the word. Yes, right. But why do I believe in miracles? 25 years of marriage, because I have no right to that. Just with some of the things that have happened, and we were just, that was on its last legs, really, because of the stress we were dealing with another relationship in our family. Everything had gone to that. And we didn't have anything left. And so what is IOI? For me, it has been family and home are the 2 words. And those are 2 words that I didn't really understand. Home, because I was a military kid, I couldn't tell you what my hometown was if you wanted to know. I don't have one. And family, well, you know, yeah, I had one. You know, we just kind of grew up sort of independent of each other. I had 2 sisters. We weren't that close, you know, just and so it's like, they're like, this is home. This is a family. And I'm like, I don't know what those words mean, Todd. You know, and so we had really some things right around the time I graduated. Literally the day before graduation, something hit critical mass in our family. And I went to one of my sisters, you know, Tanisha Graham. I went to one of my brothers in IOI, Aaron Berry. And I'm like, listen, you guys got to help me. I don't know how I can keep running. You know, what can I do? And so I was like, listen, I need help. You know, I was going to Mama Tanisha, we call her Mother Tanisha, going to Aaron, going, you guys got to help me. You know, because I all of this works. I believe in all of it. That's something I said, I'm just, you know, and so started working with Aaron, even with some neurolinguistic programming. And some of the things he taught me, Aaron Berry, he taught me this analogy of a chessboard, because I was thinking my role is to save my son. Whatever I have to do, you know, let everything burn. We have to save this kid. And Aaron's like, chessboard, Michelle, your role is to protect the king, no matter what. So the queen is the most aggressive player on the board. That's what she's there to do. And that concept and other work that we did absolutely revolutionized everything. My husband started to know the difference. He was afraid to ask too many questions. You know, my husband, he's like looking at me sideways going, if I ask questions about this, is she going to go back to the way she was? But everything transformed. It started on the inside, but literally came from the inside out, to where people are looking at me. People that know me from my church are like, see me out and about, like, I mean, they cock their head at me like a puppy, like they almost don't recognize me, because literally there has been a transformation to an almost completely different person. And I would have said a few months ago, I mean, that would be nice, but I don't think it's possible. But it took, you know, humbling myself, realizing that my ego's already in a box. I don't have any left. I'm not making it if I don't get help. And it was available to me, you know. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I have seen a huge transformation in you. I mean, you started your own podcast, which is really awesome. I mean, it's Ballwinner and I have listened to it, and Ballwinner thinks like, wow, this is amazing stuff. And you want to share real quick, what's the name of your podcast again?
The podcast is Beyond the Alphabet. I haven't done I'm working, maybe I need to talk to you about that. Need to work on a little bit of rebranding with it. So we're kind of taking a break between season 1 and 2, but
cool.
Talk about how kind of all the letters professionals throw at your child's name. And it's like, is there something more? Can we do something more than what you've been told? Is your child more than all of these blasted letters? And so that's been a lot of fun. And I was like, you challenged me to do that. And I had a lot more to say than I thought I did.
You're a very intellectual person. I feel like you have a lot of gold nuggets in your head that you can share. That's why I said for you to do the podcast, not just as a challenge to say, hey, just go do it. I know you have a lot to say, a lot of positive value to add. And I know you have experience and you have healing. So if you're intellectual and you have healing, you have a past, I mean, you're perfect. You're perfectly set up to like empower other people. That's why I really said it. That's why it's gone so good. It's because I knew it was going to go good. But yeah, so just I just want to say thank you so much for this interview, for doing this, and you're the overcomer of the week. And then so they can find you on Beyond the Alphabet, a podcast. And what's your Instagram?
Thomassen Michelle. So nobody can spell Thomassen. So THOMASSEN, and then Michelle. And then Facebook is flip that, Michelle Thomassen. So.
Cool. That way, if people like this video, they can go follow you, and definitely follow her podcast. I think you learn a lot. And obviously, she's doing some rebranding, but whatever she's going to rebrand to is probably going to be amazing. So, but thank you so much for being on here. And congratulations on being overcomer of the week. And we look forward to much more success with IOI. Thank you guys for attending this interview, and we look forward to connecting with you guys soon. Take care.